Ew, ominous. Forgot how to play. A photograph of a smiling and loving couple with a few words written on the back. Milton and Pippa forever.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affection. As well.
So these guys are just hanging out behind the fucking hospital. And they think this is okay? This is bloody not okay, eh? Fucking walkers. Surround the hospital.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet, with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
I'm tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
It's just vaginas and penises of the
You
day,
do
man.
realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
Too much questions.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
I'd like to...
Wise choice, Dr. Reed.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett. Goodbye, Dr.
Bye.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
You know what I mean, baby.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that Cadigan fellow.
I wonder what your last thoughts would be, sir.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. Daily routine.
Whatever. I'll do what is necessary, eh? Fucking heads. Vampiric senses. When looting for a citizen, do not forget your vampiric senses. Let's fucking kill him, eh? Can I do that? Pause. Whatever. Fucking serious. Fuck cocksucker son of bitches. Shit. Here we go again. Hey, Sour. You little woman. Fucking bitches need to go. Yeah, Shane, go to sleep. You better wake up early tomorrow. Rest. I didn't do anything. Do I have to like sit down somewhere to change this?
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. Balls of Mars, Fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. It's locked. This key will surely grant me access to the basement. These scowls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. It's locked. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. It's locked, all right.
Oh, okay.
Skulls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient
Ama
in the
aroga
proper
biskut
dosage.
ditte här. Nej. Ani কি হইতেন যাইবে না তাহলে আবার খাই খাইছি তো রাইট হ্যাঁ খিদা নাই খিদা নাই তো Behold, my stuff.
Time has lost its effect on me.
Why have you done this?
Yes, Doctor?
Exactly how bad...
It really depends.
Please, could...
It's the lot. At the.
That's all.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Your life in London.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
How...
So
Tell me about
I
it.
don't want to talk, Doctor.
How painful.
So painful.
I'll let you get some rest, then.
Don't waste your time with me. I will not let you down.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
To calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate.
Letter. Dear love, I finally found the missing money for the fee asked by the ambulance driver to bring you to that hospital. Don't worry about the nothing, blah 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 blah.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury.
What is it you really...
Fair question.
Tell me, Miss...
Our first diagnosis...
But why would he...
Because he is a...
I
agree.
Do you think keeping...
All I know is...
Goodbye. Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye for now. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Doc.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick.
Of course I didn't.
How could you...
I was working.
You see... What about them?
She died.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl.
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
It's a niche! Get it! bitch is fast! Christ! He's dead!
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening.
Come with me, child. Not from your will, without despair.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Goodbye for now. Good. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
All I wanted was to go back to work, to take care of my children.
The flower's dying. It needs water. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Stupid water, what the fuck you saying, man?
I need blood.
Tell me, Thelma, what do you really know about vampires?
I saw one and he saw me. I watched him hunt and kill. I saw his terrible wounds heal as his victim died. And then I knew I was saved.
You mean you actually saw a vampire? Here in London?
Yes. And it has been the answer to my pain. I must drink and kill to regenerate my decaying body. I am a vampire too.
You have no idea what problems your claim could cause if heard by the wrong people, Miss Howcroft. You must stop this nonsense, now.
Why fear the truth? Strange things live in the dark, Dr. Reed. Strange and ancient beings that were here before this island even had a name.
I'll leave you.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy or...
Many thanks, Doctor.
May lack the resources, but we have some of the most brilliant minds in London and Pembroke.
Good evening, Doctor.
Don't waste your time with me.
Goodbye, Miss... Good evening, Miss... Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital...
It's not me, you have...
Is your mother...
That's tempting, Doctor.
Do you need any help?
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
I have to go now.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you require medical...
I have other
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
Have you seen any suspicious activity in the vicinity, Dr. Reed?
No more than usual.
This is no laughing matter, Dr. Reed. A patient of mine has been murdered. Mr. Fiddick is dead. I should have been more cautious.
What is troubling you so much, Dr. Strickland? Is there something else?
I had to meet face to face with the son and daughter of Mr. Fiddick this afternoon. Their eyes. I could barely stand before their accusing gaze.
This difficult task is part of our job, Dr. Strickland. It's our responsibility.
I know. As I also know they'll never get the answer to the question they daren't ask. They were the embodiment of cold fatalism.
Why are you blaming yourself for the death of Mr. Fiddick?
It is our fault. Mr. Fiddick has stayed longer than needed here because Dr. Ackroyd and I could not agree on the correct treatment.
This argument has nothing to do with his death. He was murdered.
But if we had performed the surgery sooner, he would have left the hospital and avoided this fate.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
I would have been confused if anyone other than you had asked that question, Dr. Reed. But your help is welcomed.
I will see you later. Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I'm all right.
Good evening, Doctor.
You're the last person that I want to see right now, Dr. Reed.
I see that you are as
Are
friendly.
you really going to ask me why? That would just be more evidence of your...
How do you think these recent events will affect the Pembroke Hospital?
I am not blind. There is something strange about you and Dr. Swansea. One day you'll have to provide answers.
Don't you think the epidemic is enough to deal with, without wasting time on insults and suspicions?
Yes, the epidemic. Convenient, isn't it? Just like the war, really. Hundreds are already dying.
You are troubled.
Harvey Fiddick.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous.
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Now, we can handle this.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
There is an absurd poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now...
There is no need to apologize, Edgar. You offered me sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan.
And you would like me to eradicate them?
By the stole, of course not.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble, lady.
Do you need some...
I have just...
Then ask away. I'm at your...
You mentioned something.
Certainly.
Yet you don't...
The Brotherhood has started...
That...
I feel it wasn't mere...
Since...
Well...
What? Since you seem quite the...
As men...
The son... You... Must... The man...
He was... The name...
Just...
Yes.
We'll... Good evening. Do you need any medical?
Come on.
Have you heard?
I have no time for...
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a vamp... The lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
It seems I'm the butt of a joke. Or pigeon of a con. Dr. Swansea